Winter is here, and keeping this workshop warm isn't cheap. In summer I was fighting the extreme heat, and now in winter it's the exact opposite. This portable AC has to run 24/7 and it's currently pulling around 200 kWh per month. So I decided to fight back with solar power. My plan is to install a couple of panels on the roof and over time turn this into a completely off-grid system. The panels are already on the way, but to make this work we need a few more key components like a battery, an MPPT charger and an inverter. WattCycle sent over this lithium iron phosphate battery along with their MPPT charger, so in today's video I'll test them out and show you how they work together in a real setup. In this video I will mainly focus on the battery, but since I already have the MPPT on the side, I will hook it all up to show you how it works and how to set it up. Since the panels are not yet here, I will try to simulate them with my lab edge power supply on the input of the MPPT. I got the battery and the MPPT in two separate packages, and both were shipped from an EU warehouse and they were delivered in just a few days. The battery came in a cardboard box and was protected with foam inserts. Inside we have a user manual and the terminal bolts with plastic end caps. These are M8 bolts and they sent two different lengths. The battery was wrapped in additional plastic and it features a strap on the top, which is super handy for carrying the battery around. The MPPT got delivered on a rainy day and the package ended up sitting in the rain for a few hours. But thankfully the water didn't get inside. The MPPT is secured with foam inserts and is also wrapped in additional plastic, which definitely helped in my case. On the side we also got a temperature sensor and a user manual. On the first page of the manual you can see that WattCycle has a wide range of different batteries. And the one we have here is the 12 volt 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery with Bluetooth BMS. It has two M8 terminals on top, and this is where you would connect your wires that go to the MPPT. It has a capacity of 1280 Wh and is built with 4 lithium iron phosphate cells in series. The voltage of one cell is roughly 3.2 volts, so 4 in series would give us around 12.8 volts on the output, depending on the battery charge state. Here are the dimensions of the battery on all three sides. And it does weigh a lot, coming at just under 10 kilos or 22 pounds. The size of the overall pack is smaller compared to a lead acid battery with the same capacity, and the weight is exactly 1/2, which is pretty good. The battery cells inside take up way less space, but they had to make it a little bit bigger to fit the electronics inside. Compared to a lead acid battery, lithium iron phosphate gives you 30% more usable capacity, 10 times more charge cycles, and a flat voltage curve, meaning that the voltage won't drop much when the battery is under load. The battery can handle a 100 amp charge and discharge current continuously, meaning it will be good for around 1.2 kilowatts in and out. The main selling point of this budget Chinese battery is the price, and you can get it today for around 230 euros. A top brand battery like Victron with the same capacity and features will cost you more than 700 euros, so it's a huge difference. The battery comes with a 7-year warranty and they claim it can handle over 15,000 cycles. They also claim the battery casing is easily removable, but on my model everything is glued together and I can't take it apart without breaking the housing. Before we get into the WattCycle app, let's quickly go over the MPPT. The charge controller is built like a tank, and I'm not even sure if this big of a heatsink is needed for such low power. On the front we have the display with 4 buttons underneath, we have the connections for the solar panels, the battery and the main output. Here we have a small specifications table which tells us that the solar input voltage can't exceed 100 volts. You can connect a single 12 volt battery or 2 in series, which would then give us 24 volts. The maximum solar charge power for a single battery is 450 watts and for 2 it's 900 watts. The maximum charge current is 30 amps, while the load current is only 20 amps, which is a bit low, but it's going to be fine for a smaller setup. With 20 amps of current on the output, we can expect around 240 watts with a single battery and 480 watts with 2 batteries in series. On the bottom we have a temperature probe connector and an RS485 port, which is pretty interesting. I don't have much experience with these MPPT controllers, but with this port we should be able to get some data out of it and make some cool projects with Solar Assistant and a Raspberry Pi, which I would definitely like to try in a future video. Since I showed you all of the hardware, let's take a quick look at the WattCycle app. After downloading it, I entered the guest mode and connected to the battery with Bluetooth. On the dashboard we can see the current battery charge state, the current temperature, voltage, current and power. When I click on the voltage icon, the app also displays voltage of each individual cell. With the two buttons underneath, you can enable and disable the charging and discharging of the battery. With the battery like this, anyone can connect and mess around with the settings. So I decided to create an account so I can bind the battery and prevent other people from connecting. To bind the battery, I had to scan the serial code that's on the battery's case, and now the battery is fully locked and no one else can access the settings. In the settings tab of the app, we can also change some parameters, just like on my JBD BMS inside my e-bike battery. And now let's try to connect everything together. With MPPTs, the first thing to connect is the battery, so the controller can boot up and so we can set the correct settings. I have some wires that came with my inverter, and I'll just cut off one end and reinforce it with some solder. I don't have any crimping tools at the moment, and I know that this isn't the way to do it, but just for this demonstration it will do the job just fine. With the cables made, I'll connect them to the MPPT and tighten the screws. After confirming the wires are held properly, I'll connect the other ends to the battery. After connecting the battery and after a huge spark, the MPPT was powered on. I quickly went over the user manual to see if there are any crucial settings I needed to change. The only setting that interested me at the moment was the battery cell type, and we can change it by holding the settings button and selecting our battery type with the up and down arrows. After I had the lithium type on screen, I pressed enter to confirm, and that was it. To show you this setup fully in action, I also prepared a small inverter, which I will hook up to the output of the MPPT. After making a small custom cable again, I connected the cables to the MPPT and then to the inverter. I tried powering it on, but it was completely dead. I checked the output voltage of the MPPT and it was at 0 volts. In order to turn on the output, we have to press the enter key once, and you can see that the light bulb LED lights up. I checked the output voltage again, but this time with the output turned on, and this time everything was okay. Since we have power on the output, I tried to power on the inverter and everything looked fine. For the first test, I got my LED lamp and connected it to the inverter. Everything worked flawlessly. Then I went into the WattCycle app to see how much current I'm drawing, but the current display kept going up and down, and I guess this is because the load current is too small at only 1.1 amps or around 13 watts. To test if I was correct, I needed something that would draw more power, and the perfect candidate was my e-bike battery. My e-bike battery charger is rated at 440 watts maximum, so let's see if I will trigger any protections. And yes, after connecting the charger alone, the MPPT immediately went into an overcurrent protection. That's what I meant when I said the output power is a bit low, but okay, let's give it another try with my electric skateboard, which has a much smaller charger. Connecting the charger alone works, and now let's see if I will trigger the overcurrent protection again when I connect the charger to my skateboard. Connecting the charger didn't cause any problems, and the board is charging. The MPPT showed around 7 amps of current peak, and looking at the app, everything looks good this time. I'm pulling around 6 amps of current or 90 amps of power from the battery. Now I see that we also get an estimated remaining operating time, which is really cool. The downside of the system is that the BMS cannot reliably detect lower currents, which means that the battery percentage won't be precise if you have tiny loads connected. We did some tests, and so far the system looks pretty promising, but there is still one more function of this MPPT that I haven't tested. It is the solar input, but as I said at the beginning of the video, I don't have any panels here yet. So I will try to simulate a panel with my lab edge power supply. The MPPT will try to pull as much current as it can while getting a stable voltage, so I will have to limit my power supply so it doesn't damage it. I will set the maximum current to 5 amps and the voltage to 24 volts. This will simulate a 120 watt panel, but before connecting it, I have to make some custom cables again. And after that's done, let's connect them to the MPPT. The last step is to connect the alligator clips from my power supply, and after I did, the MPPT started drawing some current. It took around 10 seconds for it to figure out how much it can pull, and the voltage did stabilize at 24 volts, and the current stayed at 5 amps. On the MPPT, we can see that we have around 23.5 volts on the solar input side, and the MPPT is charging the battery with around 8 amps of current. Checking the mobile app also confirms this. We are charging the battery with around 110 watts of power, and the estimated charge time is just above 4 hours. Everything checks out, and this is an awesome little system for powering small loads. To test the system in a real-world scenario, I will make a solar system to power my home server 24/7. The solar panels should be here soon, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next video. All of the links are in the description, and make sure to use my code at checkout to receive a small discount. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.